Hey, everybody. Welcome to my music corner of the world. My name is John Clauser, and today I want to give you guys a little bit of a review of a concert I was just recently at on October 14th, 2022, here in Birmingham. And I am talking about the first concert that I have been to in 3 years since all this COVID stuff started up. I've been to a couple wrestling events. Thank you, Karen. Uh, but I've not been to any concerts. And the last concert I was at was here in Birmingham, and that was Alter Bridge and Skillet. Um, and that was almost 3 years ago, I think, to the date. I think it was October 21st or somewhere along that line. But anyway, um, so yeah, I finally got to a concert. And this is one that I should have gotten to in February, but the tour had to be postponed due to mad pizza making skills by this guy, Steve Vai. That was who I got to go see at the Lyric Theater. This was also something I got to do with a good friend named Matt. I promised him a couple of times we were going to go to a concert together and do something really wild and crazy, and it concerts just kept getting canceled and postponed. Thank you, COVID, for that. Um, so we finally got to do something. Finally got to hang out for the first time after it's been a while since I'd seen him. Um, so but I'll talk a little bit more about that. So to start the night off, we got to do as I showed with this little laminate here. So this is there's the back of it. It's the EVO experience. So it's a meet and greet um, that we got to do with him. So what this entails is you get a question and answer session with him. Um, with the big group, there was probably about 30 people there, so not everybody got to ask a question. I didn't. We didn't get to ask a question this time. Um, and then you got a picture taken with Steve, which I hope to have in the next week or so. It's taken by a represent like a tour representative. They upload it to a site, and then about a week or so, we'll be able to download those pictures from that site. Um, we got to watch a sound check, which was really cool. We got about an hour's worth of a sound check, which was longer than the first time I went to see him, which was back in 2016 when I did the meet and greet, and we had the same thing. The soundtrack was only about 3 songs for that one, but he was also doing the um, Passion and Warfare album in its entirety. And I think our show was getting toward the end of the tour, so I think they were pretty much on target. So um, we got a little goodie bag. So some of the things you got in that goodie bag was we got some earplugs, which I didn't use these because I brought some of my own. I guess one of those little um, things you stick on the back of your cell phones, whatever those are called. I can't think of the name of them off the top of my head. A couple stickers. This is kind of a design thing that I saw in like his cabs. Um, you get this little guy, which I'll talk a little bit more about this as we get into the set. Guitar pick case with a few picks. So that was pretty cool. Um, nice little tour bag. Um, the shirt I bought didn't come with a shirt this time. It did last time it did. This time it did not. Um, you get this really cool poster, which I didn't get him to sign this one, but I'll show you what I got signed in just a little bit. And that's the Hydra um, guitar thing that he's. I'll explain more about that. Also got this cool little sticker, EVO Experience, another very nice sticker. And then you got this again with the Hydra. So that was the goodie bag. Now, what did I get signed? So there was a little bit of a miscommunication. We had people who were bringing instruments and pick guards, and I even saw a tennis racket. Somebody wanted to get a tennis racket signed. I don't know why, but so for like any personal merchandise, there was a little bit of a mix up as far as when they were going to do that. So we eventually did get that stuff signed. Um, it just we just weren't able to watch him sign it exactly. We just kind of keep an eye on things because it was after the sound check. So, um, if the 16 or 17-year-old me who bought this back in those days saw me getting this thing signed, he'd probably be freaking out. This is my original copy of Flexible that I got probably back in, I'm going to guess about 1986, 1987, maybe. I don't exactly remember. Um, my history with Steve Vai was I learned of him through guitar magazines. So the first thing I really heard about him as a guitar player was he joined the band Alcatraz, and he had the dubious task of replacing Yngwie Malmsteen or taking over for Yngwie Malmsteen. So I kind of that's kind of how I learned about him. Then of course he joins David Lee Roth's band with Billy Sheehan and Greg Bissonette on bass and drums, respectively. So he's playing the amazing chops of Eddie Van Halen. Um, so somewhere along that line, I came across this gem of an album, which was this is actually kind of a third pressing album cover because the original I think is just like a black cover with a Flexible written kind of in a neon pink on a black um, cover kind of thing. So this one was a much more a little more upscaled. Of course, there's the back with the track listings. Um, you can definitely, Frank Zappa he had a major influence on Steve's album with this. This is a very eclectic, kind of quirky album. Um, kind of very much a lot like Frank Zappa, but still, it's such a fun album. By the way, he did not do anything from this album, so just so everybody knows that ahead of time. But it was exciting for me to get that signed by Steve because I should have done that the last time I saw him. But when I was watching the sound check a little bit, or while we were waiting in line for the picture, I brought this along with me. And you're wondering, why did I bring Warlord Live in Athens 2013, a DVD cover thing? That's because this guy right here, Phil Bino, is his bass player. So of course he plays on this album, this live concert from Athens. He was also on the Holy Empire album from Warlord. So he got to do a few shows with them overseas, which he sounded amazing on, by the way. He does some backup vocals on the song Winds of Thor. Uh, Highly recommend to go check that out. And so I got his attention with that. And, uh, and he said, man, hey, did you know about that album? That I did an album with Mark Zonder. And then I dug into my little bag and it's like, you mean this little guy? Oh yeah. What do you think of that? It's like, oh, I love this album. Hey, can I get a picture with you later? It's like, with the CD. Yeah. Sure. So, um, so we did. And after the sound check, I really wasn't sure I didn't know he was really going to do it, but he did. And he came down and um there's the picture with me and Phil Bino. So that was really cool. My friend Matt took the picture, so that was really super cool. Philip, if you're watching this again, many thanks for doing that. You certainly didn't have to. I just wish I had a Sharpie. I could have let you sign it. Anyway, so with that said, let's get into the set. Steve does about 19. He did 19 songs here. Plays for roughly about an hour and a half to hour and 45 minutes. And there's some guitar solos and uh, stage banter, a little bit of stage banter here and there. So there's at least 6 songs. six of the nine songs from the new album that he was touring on, in Violate, again with that Hydra guitar. So the first song that he does is from this album, and it's a really heavy rocker called Avalancha. Great track, really just a great opening song. From there, he goes into this really heavy groove song that was on the Alive in the Ultra World called Giant Balls of Gold. Great groove. Um, he goes back to Inviolate with a song called Little Pretty. Um, Another just a really cool little kind of quirky rocker. We go into a song from um, from this album, Alien Love Secrets. This nice tender song called Tender Surrender. Great song. Always loved listening to that. Great song to hear live. Um, then he goes into a good, another kind of quirky rocker from this Modern Primitive album. This came as a bonus album with the 25th anniversary of uh, 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 Power, Passion, and Warfare. Whew, boy, had a brain fart there. Great song, great rocking song, led into a bass solo by Philip Bino. We go back to we go back to Inviolate with a song called Candle Power, kind of a clean, but just a really quirky, funky kind of track, which then led to a guitar solo by his kind of a rhythm guitar player, keyboardist, a little bit of this and that, dual lead, Dave Weiner, who's very good on lead guitar as well. We go to, and he did a really good solo, really talented player. And Philip Bino's solo was awesome too. Extremely talented player. Um, After that, we go into from this album here, The Real Illusions, album called Reflections. This he did a song called Building the Church. Again, great track, wonderful song. Um, Back to Inviolate with a song called Greenish Blues, which how he kind of described it as a um kind of a Peter Green take on the blues, because Peter Green, of course, being the one of the original players from Fleetwood Mac, and he was very much into blues. So this was kind of a Peter Green style of the blues, is how he describes it. Um, we go back to we go back to Alien Love Secrets with one of my top five Steve Vai songs. I just absolutely love Bad Horsey. That thing, that heavy, heavy groove is just so infectious. I just love listening to that thing. Um, then we go to this nice, soft little kind of interlude song called "I'm Becoming," which is on the album Sound Theories. He goes from there. It leads into another beautiful track from Alive in the Ultra World called "Whispering a Prayer." We go into a song from. Oops, please tell me I have that CD handy. No, I do not. Uh-oh. We go into a song from Fire Garden, which I thought I had that CD handy, but I apparently do not. So, okay, so we go into this a track from Fire Garden called "Dying Day," which starts off with a acoustic rhythm, and again, just a great track. Leads into a drum solo by Jeremy Colson. Fantastic solo. So now we go into the ridiculousness that is this thing, the Hydra. So, what is this thing? So this first thing here, it's a bass with a little bit of fretless action going on with it. Then you have a 7 string here, which he said was tuned down to about A. So it's really heavy. So this, 7 strings, the lowest string is a B. And so imagine tuning the whole thing down to A. So, and then this other guitar is a 12 string, kind of an acoustic sound. It's fretless. Uh, Sorry, I'm just trying to get there. It's fretless here. So it kind of gives almost like a sitar kind of sound. Really cool thing. There's also like a little harp thing on this side. He said there's like other guitar synthesizer things thrown in there as well. Just again, a very, very, very cool track. He's just the way he's playing this thing. I mean, his arms are, I mean, because it's sitting up on like a stand. So he's constantly moving around from neck to neck. Um, so it's a I can only imagine what kind of a workout that is. Trying to get and then trying to get all the patch sounds and everything to flow through correctly, I'm sure is a bit of a chore. So kudos to kudos to him to getting that thing put together. He said it took about 7 years in the designing to get this thing to come together. So wow, what a crazy thing. Um, we stay on that album, and the song "Teeth of the Hydra" is really really good. Great great melody, great riffage, lots of great lines, great mood, atmosphere. Jeremy plays on the drums with it. Dave Weiner, and Michael and Philip Bino play a little bit here and there on the song, but they're pretty much kind of standing off to the side. They really don't need to. There's really not much that they need to play on that track. Um, so that's not something you see too much of on that album or on that song. We stick with and violate to another one of probably my favorite tracks on this album called Zeus in Chains. And I really like the opening riff and the main lead passage that they go back to a lot on this song. I think it's just a fantastic track. Um, we end the set with two songs from probably my favorite Steve Vai album. Um, just unbelievable to have seen this whole album done its entirety. So it's always great to see him do songs from this again. So from this, he does the opening track, Liberty, with the heads up, and then of course he had this nice, great track with great great film video thing going on in the background. Um, to end the set is probably my favorite Steve Vai song of all time. Probably a lot of people's favorite Steve Vai song of all time. And I'm talking about the song For the Love of God with its beautiful theme and just ridiculous fretwork and shredding and tremolo bar work that he does on this thing. It's just, it, I don't know, it's hard to describe the feelings you feel when you listen to this song. It's just such a joy to listen to. It's really uplifting. It's emotional. And he decides he's going to do something a little different with this version. So he tells a story. And Steve is a wonderful storyteller. I could listen to him tell stories all day long. He just tells some really amazing stories. And so he tells the story of when he was over in Europe. He befriended a lot of tour folks over there, and some of them were super really good. And one of them he really wanted to bring with him, and it was a guy running the monitors. And he got to really know this guy named Danny. And Danny is a little bit of everything. He's a great guitar player. He's great on the monitors. He loves his hot sauce. He's a chef. He's an MMA fighter. He was in a movie in Spain. And he's also sings opera. So you get this beautiful theme that everybody has come to love and know if you love Steve Vai, and you recognize that. You know, you hear that, and then it goes into this other nice theme. Well, this Danny, he's singing this opening themes in this kind of operatic style. And it was I knew he was kind of doing something different with it. I just didn't know exactly what. And so I decided I wanted to record this whole thing, and I'm glad I got the intro with it. It's just absolutely amazing to be able to listen to that. I just love the song. Steve is just amazing to watch play this thing. And I mean, it was a wonderful way to end the set. Um, he comes back out for an encore. It's the Taurus Bulba section of the Fire Garden Suite 4 from the Fire Garden album, which again, I thought I had a a physical copy of that one, but apparently I do not anymore. Anyway, so that's the set. Um, it was absolutely wonderful to have experienced that with my friend Matt. Um, when I saw Steve in 2016 at Workplay, I had a good friend who whose son was going to the show as well and had gotten wanted the meet and greet. And they said if I had that they had known that I was going, they wouldn't have gotten the meet and greet, and he could have just stuck with me. So I wound up hanging out with my good friend Max, uh, and kind of we hung out at the show and I took him home and I had this kind of feeling. I was like, wow, you know, I don't have kids, so for me to it kind of gave me this feeling of, oh, so this is what it must be like to have a kid, and you taking him to a concert, you know, and so it was a really kind of a cool feeling for me. And so and Max really appreciated that, and Rochelle appreciated that his mom, or, that was Max's mom. And I said the same thing to Max, like, the feeling's the same. It's like, man, this is like this would have been like taking my son to a concert, or daughter, whatever kid if I had had a kid. I would have liked to have exposed them to the kind of music that I grew up on, and knew hopefully that they would appreciate. And I knew Matt appreciated guitar player because he's a guitar player himself. I've been told that I was an inspiration for him to pick up the guitar because I would play for the kids ministry, and he was up there back then in those days. So so to know that I inspired somebody to pick up a guitar, I thought was really, really special. Um, and I hope to one day make him famous by, he's recorded some really good tracks. I'd love to, if I ever do a CD, I want to have him on a song or two or three or something, but I want to make that kid famous one day. So thank you again, Matt. His whole family is awesome. They've been good friends to us for a long, long time. And so I'm really appreciated. I really appreciated it. He tagged along and that I got him to come along with me and have a great experience with me. So, um, there you go. That was my little review. To me, it was a fantastic show. If Steve Vai comes around your city, if you're watching this, please make the effort to go see him. Um, it's worth it. He just puts on a fantastic show. The band is ridiculously tight. Just amazing players. Forgot to mention there's another guy. I didn't get his name, but he would come out and play some little extra guitar parts or uh, keyboard parts, and then he'd kind of go off stage. He just sounds like he's got a great crew with him. And so if he comes around your neighborhood, please go see him. Please go see him. And while you're at it, support Philip Bino as well. And Mark Zonder on drums, Ray Alder on vocals, Jupe Walters on guitars, and Vivian Lalu on keyboards. This is just an amazing album. Probably one of my favorite albums of 2022 so far. Highly, highly go recommend this. Tell tell Philip John Clauser sent you. He won't know who I am, but anyway, just go do yourself a favor. Get this album. You will enjoy it. It's a great album, mix of 90s rock, 80s rock, prog metal, a little bit of, but it's so groovy and just so good. There's a lot of great tracks on this. So, um, but yeah, that's what I got. Uh, if you've seen Steve Vai in concert, tell me what you thought. I'd love to hear it. Um, what did you think of what did you think of um the Inviolate album? Tell me what you thought of it. Uh, like, share, and subscribe. Please check out other videos I have on my channel. Um, I would love for more people to check out my discussion I had on Love Coma. It would really mean the world to me, and the guys who are on it, they they were willing enough to listen to an album that they never heard of, a band they never heard of, and they really came away really liking the album. And Chris Taylor and Chris Dodds are super guys, and I wanted to give them that shout out too. So anyway, go check out my other stuff. Let me know what you think of them. Again, like, share, and subscribe. I thank you for tuning in to my music corner of the world. My name is John Clauser. I will see you